a lot of Filipinos probably are sought after, maybe because they deliver the responsibilities well. And I think Filipinos are hardworking. They really do their best to perform in their jobs. We only use English, let's say in school. We only use English during class hours. Teaching English is not really my passion. I just love to use English. I love to learn English. That's why even until now I still learn English.
Why do I try? Why do I try?
Why don't you tell me why I can't sleep at night?
Why do I try? Why do I try?
Why don't you tell me why I can't sleep at night?
Why do I try? Why do I try?
Why don't you tell me why?
Welcome to my channel. My name is Kwekusi Kenya Brante. You know what I do and what I've been doing over time. Today I have with me a Filipino teacher. He's going to share with me all that we've heard about Filipino teachers. Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, brother.
And welcome to the channel once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm happy to have you today. So, you come from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Can you give us a picture of how the Philippines looks like?
Well, it's pretty much the same with Vietnam. Yeah, I don't see much of a difference in terms of economic situation, perhaps. In the Philippines, we do have many centers as well for ESL. Yeah.
Okay, you also have an ESL.
Yes, we have a lot.
Okay.
And yeah, in the Philippines, of course, when it comes to maybe I can talk about the weather. When I came here, I was surprised because in the Philippines we only have sunny season and rainy season. We don't have different seasons. We don't have winter. We don't have
You don't have winter. You don't have
fall, spring. We don't have such.
So in the Philippines, you have the rainy season,
And
the dry season.
dry season.
Two of them.
Yeah.
So you came here and you experienced the winter. How does winter treat you? You get very cold, you yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that way because I've never been in that situation before. In the Philippines, we don't have winter season, so it was like an adjustment I had to make.
Okay.
But it was not that terrible.
All right.
I was able to cope with the weather.
And how about the hot season? Because it looks like when it gets too hot, it's too hot in Vietnam.
Well, I think it's similar in the Philippines.
Okay.
I think that the only difference is here, when it comes to humidity, the humidity here is quite high.
Yeah.
Compared to the Philippines. In the Philippines, we can go out in the sun even at noon, and I can put up with the heat.
The heat.
Yeah.
And the Philippines, I think Philippines is part of Asia, right?
Yes, Asia.
So Philippines is part of Asia. It means Philippines to Vietnam. You guys are just like brothers.
Yeah, I think so. In terms of physical feature, I don't know if you can tell apart.
Well, I can't, but the Vietnamese are able to tell. But
okay.
I personally can't tell.
You can tell whether I'm.
I can't tell whether you are from the Philippines or you are from Vietnam.
Yeah, really.
Are you able to tell?
Me, yeah, I can tell. I can tell really apart between Filipinos and Vietnamese.
Okay.
Because I'm Filipino and I'm very familiar with the Filipinos profile.
Okay. All right. And in Philippines, what is the official language?
Our official language is Filipino, and I think English is considered as our second language.
So how come a lot of Filipinos can speak very good English?
I think probably they have, for those people who are really fluent in English, they're the ones who really put in extra effort to practice their English. I think at home they also try to use English because one of the ways where, this is just based on my observation, one of the ways to really get good at English is to use English every day.
Okay.
Not necessarily every day, but you use it more often than the local language. But in our case, let's say, I think other factors are like watching movies, YouTube. Nowadays, the media is very, very helpful. A lot of people or young generation nowadays, they can speak good English, yeah, compared to before.
So that means that in Philippines, you also have like ESL teaching English to speakers of other languages in Philippines.
Yeah, yes.
So meaning if you are an English teacher, you can have an ESL job there.
Yeah, exactly.
So why did you move from Philippines to Vietnam?
Well,
And there are a
for
lot
me-
of your brothers and colleagues.
yes,
Why?
for me, it's an adventure. You know, it's an opportunity to see the other side of the world because this is the first country I've been in, and yeah, it's an opportunity. Opportunity presented itself, so I just grab it.
And how was it? Was it so easy moving from the Philippines to Vietnam and the visa issues? How was it that easy or difficult?
Yeah, in my part, it's not that difficult because it was taken care of while we were still in the Philippines. It was processed, and the company also provided us with sufficient assistance. So it was not difficult.
So meaning you just got a sponsor, so you just moved from the Philippines and came here.
Yeah, even
And-
even our accommodation was
Taken care of.
Yeah, was taken care of when we got here. So we really didn't have a lot of things to think about when we came here.
How long have you been teaching in Vietnam?
I've been teaching in Vietnam for nearly 9 months now.
Wow, that's close to 1 year.
Yeah,
That's close to 1 year. So we won't mention figures, but comparing money teaching in Vietnam to teaching in Philippines.
yeah. I think teaching abroad is always better than teaching in our own country, right?
So if a Vietnamese teacher who can also speak very good English decides to come and teach in the Philippines, is it going to end better than teaching here?
I think there is the same system. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the fact is always that you always have to move from your comfort zone
Yeah,
to teach at somewhere else,
Yeah.
and you'll be treated like that.
I think that is one, one possibility. But in our case, it's like personally, I came here because I want to experience. I want to have more experience.
Okay.
Not just getting confined in my own country, but also to really
Explore and do
explore and then get along with other people, just like you. You know.
What is the experience? I mean, moving from the Philippines and coming to Vietnam, you are a foreigner, and they see you as a foreigner.
Yeah.
To me, the treatment is very good because, but I have a different body skin from them, so I am a total different person.
Yeah.
But with you, you are a bit closer to them.
Yes.
How is the experience like, and your experience here?
Yeah, in terms of like having contacts with local people, at first glance they wouldn't be able to say that I am a foreigner because we are maybe my color is almost
like
the same,
them,
just
yeah.
like them. But in terms of conversation, I could only speak a little bit. This conversation tend to be too short. Yeah,
With
and-
them?
yeah, with them. And I couldn't speak any Vietnamese. So I had to, every time I go and buy something, I have to translate, Google Translate, use Google.
You guys are all Asians. You still face that language barrier?
Yeah, exactly, because the language is completely different.
Hạn chế tiếng Anh. No English. No English. You're speaking English. No English. No English.
Filipino and then Vietnamese.
Vietnamese.
Yeah, but maybe Vietnamese and Chinese. I'm not sure if they have some similarity.
Some Vietnamese learn Chinese, so that will be a bit adjustable.
But Filipino is completely different
I see.
language. But in English, Filipino and English, we use the same alphabet. So for most Filipinos, I think that's one
Oh, okay.
reason.
Filipinos with English.
Yes, the alphabets.
In English,
Yeah,
I just almost like
Yeah.
that of English.
The alphabets are the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That means it shouldn't be difficult for me to learn Filipino,
yeah.
but it's very difficult for me to learn Vietnamese.
I
because
think so.
everything
It's
is
completely
totally
different. The
completely
characters
different.
are, different. Yeah.
I would look at the treatment meted out to you. What are some of the treatment that you experienced firsthand in Vietnam?
I think most of my contacts happen in the store because that's the only time where I get contact with local people when I have something to buy, or I don't have much contacts in terms of like going out,
Okay.
because I go out, I go to the park,
Okay.
and most of the time I am by myself. So yeah, I don't have much.
You don't have any,
Yeah.
and you haven't experienced anything
Yes.
odd. Everything is just
Yeah,
normal.
everything is just normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to my next question. What is that thing that Filipinos are doing that is putting them? Because I can say that in Vietnam, looking at the foreigners, I mean, Filipinos are a lot. There are a number of Filipinos here, and you see most of the advertisement. They are like, okay, native English speakers or Filipinos. They mostly write it there. Like they are like today, for instance, I was running through the advertisement, and out of the 10 advertisement I saw, about 8 or 7 of them, if I'm not exaggerating, they stated Filipinos.
Ah, I see.
What is putting Filipinos ahead? What is giving Filipinos that market that they are now globally being accepted? And currently, when you go to China, Filipinos are allowed to teach. I guess to be correct, I can be corrected though, but that's what I've heard, that now, apart from the native speakers, Filipinos are also allowed to teach in China, maybe some part of China. What is putting Filipinos on that map, on that spot?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was surprised when you told me that, because I didn't come across that.
You've not checked that.
Yeah, I have not checked. So I think for a lot of Filipinos probably are sought after, maybe because they deliver the responsibilities well, and I think Filipinos are hardworking. You know, they really do their best to perform in their jobs. But when it comes to for them, their ability to speak English and teach, those people are really, you know, going the extra mile in terms of like learning the language. Because if they just stayed in the Philippines, then they might not have that consistency when it comes to the usage of English. Because like for example, me, I live in Cebu, and we rarely use English in our daily lives.
Okay.
So for anyone who would like to become fluent and excellent, competent when it comes to speaking in English and teaching in English, they have to
Go the extra mile.
Yes, they have to have a certain discipline where they can continuously practice their English and to keep their English, you know, polished, something like that. But one thing I can say, maybe they're sought after. They're sought after maybe because they really work hard and they do their probably job very well because they put in time and effort.
Wow, that's great. So I want to also know your experience. I mean, you teach kids who have no idea. Some of them have no idea of how English is. When you go to the countryside, some of them can barely speak. You also speak a different language, but now you can speak English. Now you are teaching ESL. How do you get to teach these kids English in your own?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I always try to reflect on how I learn English because, as I've said, English is our second language. Yes, and we begin with introducing the letters and the sounds of the letters, and then blending the letters, and then some vocabulary that they can learn, and you know, some sets of words that are often used in our daily lives. So we introduce that, and of course we also use the textbooks, and also those textbooks also help us to really tailor what needs to be used in the class to teach the children. So it's pretty much like reflecting on how we Filipinos learn as well.
Learn to speak English.
Yeah, learn to speak English. Like you know, what listening to people speaking English, and then practicing
the mouth positions and how some certain words are pronounced.
Yes, exactly. The pronunciation, you know, the blending of words, sounds of the words, vocabulary, and then
syntax.
grammars. Yeah, syntax, enunciation, pretty much everything. The intonation. Yeah, we teach that in class.
Okay, so let me just delve into this kind of controversial topic. So the kind of teaching where ESL has been kind of categorized to native speakers, like somebody from England, from America, and they believe that I want somebody from America to teach my kid. In your own estimation, in this time of teaching English, do you think it's necessarily important for somebody born in England or holding an England passport or American passport to teach English? Well,
I don't think so, and it's not necessarily. I think that should not be the case, because although it's an advantage for native speaker to teach because that's their own language.
They are born
They're
with
familiar
language.
Yeah, they're born with that. And non-native speakers also have an advantage. They have an edge because they can reflect on how they learn, right? Just like these people who are trying to learn English, they don't know anything about. Most of them don't know where to start, where to begin, and what to learn first.
Okay.
So these non-native speakers who are able to speak English and learn how they learn the language can share their experience
And know
Yes.
how to teach
And
these
know-
kids
yes, and
who
know
have
how
no
to-
idea of how
Exactly.
English, what English
Yeah.
is, where English is from.
That is also one advantage for non-native
Okay.
teachers, and of course, we cannot compare ourselves to native speakers because obviously
They are born with
they're
the language.
born with that language. They know how
move with
to.
the language.
Mm.
However, you feel that because I in my observation, I think that I mean somebody in my country, I'm from Ghana. English is our official language.
Wow.
Yes, from kindergarten to wherever, it's about English. But we also have other languages.
I see.
Exactly, we also have other languages. So from childbirth, everywhere you go, on our television station, in our parliament, everywhere, all functions, national functions, it's all about English.
They first have to maybe learn about, let's say, vocabulary.
Exactly.
We start with vocabulary, and then as soon as they have some words of vocabulary, they understand it in English, both in English and their own language, they then try to begin to maybe put those words together, and that's where maybe grammar comes in, how to structure it in the proper way, something like that. When I was learning English, actually I started really seriously trying to learn English when I was in college.
Okay.
But before that,
Oh, you studied English when we were in college?
yeah,
Wow.
in the Philippines, just like what I've said, we really use English in our daily lives. We only use English, let's say, in school. I studied in public school, so we only use English during class hours. Yeah, and English lesson and other textbooks, like other subjects that are taught in English. So those are the only times where we learn the English language.
Wow. Then it means you guys are doing something extra that we need to find out.
But I think nowadays, young generations are, more fluent when it comes to the usage of language, and then the level of their competency when it comes to using the language and teaching the language. I think they're much better now.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, what are some of your regrets being an ESL teacher, and some of your regrets and your advantages? Things that if you given the opportunity, you would have done that way.
Yeah, regrets. I really never have
Okay.
any regrets because I see this thing in a positive light. I'm here, although teaching English is not really it's not really my passion. Because I just love to use English. I love to learn English. That's why even until now I still learn English, because my goal, I have a lot of goals that are in
What a
line
question.
with goals that I'm pursuing right now, which require me to use English.
Oh.
For example, to become a public speaker.
Oh,
I
wow.
want to be that way now. I've been working on myself, learning to speak in public. I have some videos as well. I've compiled some videos. My practice.
On YouTube?
I also, not yet on YouTube, but
Okay.
that's probably.
You get it there.
Yeah. Down the road, I might try to do that as well. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is I'm taking advantage of the opportunity I have here, like the time that I spend in school, and then after that, I also use my time to learn.
What are some positive impact that you think you have achieved or you have chopped in your years of teaching and learning ESL? Everything?
Well, I think ESL has been an instrument, and I could consider that it's an instrumental to me, because although the level when it comes to teaching English ESL, the level that we teach isn't that really very significant when it comes to accomplishing my goals, but at least I get exposed to the English language.
Right.
So it's like I'm forced to be there and speak English. So the benefit that I've gotten from ESL is that I am I get to use the English language.
Wow.
So yeah,
Is,
And
is,
that's-
is that all? Okay. Any other advantages?
yeah.
What of the monetary gains? Is it good or is that?
Compared to
When we were in
where
Philippines?
compared to where I worked before in the Philippines, it's I think it's much better.
Okay. Okay. You're getting some
So
good money
that's
in
yeah.
Vietnam.
And other benefits, let me think about. Yeah, it's more on me being able to use English, and also the time that I have left, like after I teach.
Mhm.
And besides the workload that I've had in school isn't that much, so I have time to do something else.
Okay.
To read, to learn many other subjects like real estate, entrepreneurship, and then finance, investing, something like that. And of course, ESL is somehow it has contributed to towards the in the process.
Yes,
eventually.
yes, it's giving you, getting you those avenues to be
Yes.
able to learn better yourself, do other courses online, and become that great person that you aspire to be.
Yeah.
That great person that you aspire to be. I see. So, I mean, finalizing, if somebody also wants to pick up an ESL job, what would you advise the person to do?
Well, number one is there are a lot of teachers actually applying for ESL positions. So in order for them to really get the position, depending on where they where they intend to work. For example, if they want to work abroad, they have to show that they're competent. They have to show that they have all the credentials needed, because before we came here, we also have to procure the credentials like
TEFL or TESOL.
yeah.
And C1. C1 measures your ability to speak and understand English, how you can understand, speak, and all those things. You used to get those in addition to your certificate, right?
Yes.